Hello, it's the Kratom Gals and guest.
Guy.
Please note this
Kratom.
live. Hold on, let me do
How's
this
it?
real quick. Please, please note this live stream is presented solely for educational purposes. It is not intended as a substitute for the advice of a physician or other medical professional. Our community comes together to share our knowledge, stories, and experiences. So welcome, everybody.
Hi, everybody. Thanks
Nice
for
to
coming.
see you.
Yeah. Misty, what were you going to say before?
Kratom Pal.
Yes.
Our Kratom yes. We got the Kratom Gals. Venus is live in the comments. She's not on screen with us. We got the Kratom Gals with our Kratom pal, Steve Hamm. Hey, Steve.
Nice to see you again.
Yeah.
Last time was in DC. What was that? February? I think so.
December.
Like
it was last December.
Oh, was it last night? Oh, wow.
It was.
That's right.
It was a while
Almost
ago.
a year.
Yeah, it's been a while. So.
Well, you look about the same.
Well, thank you. So do you.
Yeah.
We have some of our people here in the comments. We got Christopher and Venus, and they're watching on their TVs. And
Nice.
Oh, we're on the big screen tonight.
yeah, and she's watching on her laptop too. They're watching on the big screen, which is awesome. I like to, usually I'll watch some of the replay after we do a live, and I like to go watch it on my big TV. And it's such a different experience. YouTube on the TV is very cool. And as Venus, Kratom Butterfly says, you can sign up to advocate protectkratom.org. It's a great website. Keep up with the American Kratom Association. So check out that site. Hello to everybody here. We got Arlette. That is Venus's mom. Hello. Thank you for joining us. Always appreciate all of our live viewers. And we're going to have a special movie night tonight. We're going to watch a documentary called The Mysteries of Kratom. It's new. It just got released about a month ago, I think, right, Steve? It's been about a month? Hasn't been long. Hasn't been long.
I think it was like September 15th or something like that, yes.
Yeah, okay, so coming up on a month. Yeah. And it's a really great documentary. You've done a great job, Steve. I thought we'd invite you to come join us for a watch party. Something a little different.
Yeah. I really appreciate your invitation.
Absolutely. Well, this is one of the things we do here on the Kratom Gals. We watch all kinds of videos and talk about it. We watch, react, and talk about it. And sometimes we'll come across a documentary. Lately, they've been like shorter ones, so we'll sometimes watch that in full. But yours is full length. So we thought, let's do a watch party. Let's make it a Kratom Gals and Pals movie night.
That way we can watch it together as a community, because I've been excited to watch it myself.
Great.
Yeah. So before we start, tell us a little bit about you and what inspired you to create this film.
All right. So I'm a journalist, primarily words and photographs. And I've worked for daily newspapers, magazines. I've been a freelancer. But in 2017, I started making documentaries. I'd made short little films. I worked for IBM for a while. I made some there. Before that, at Business Week, I made short ones. But I really got interested in making full-length documentaries. And the thing that encouraged me so much is in our town, we had a film festival. And we've had it I think it's been around for 10 years. So it was a venue. It was a place to show. And that's how a creative partner and I, Scott Amour, got started. And our films, we created an organization. We're basically a nonprofit, and it's called Elm City Films. And from the beginning, all our films were community building. The idea was this is about an important issue in our community, and we want to tell the story. And they were hyper local originally. The first film was about immigration, and it was about Italian-American immigration, because we have a very strong Italian-American community here. But more broadly, it reminded people that we are a nation of immigrants. It was at a time when there was a lot of hatred being shown towards immigrants, which is kind of like today as well. But and then we made one about fentanyl. We made one about policing at the time. Remember Black Lives Matter, that movement? We said, well, let's look at our own community and let's look at how the police operate. So we've made a bunch of them. Some of them have been kind of environmental. And the way we got to this film, Mysteries of Kratom, was pretty unusual, I guess you'd say. I live across the street from one of the foremost addiction medicine specialists in the world. His name is Marek Havarsky, and he's on the faculty at Yale. He's in the emergency department, but also in psychiatry. And much of his work in his life has been around opioids. And he's even done work with the UN to get methadone clinics set up in countries around the world where heroin addiction was considered a crime. And they've changed it to view it as a disease with victims rather than a crime with criminals. So I got to know the guy just from, we love walking around. We have a park right next door. It's actually 500 acres. It's a very rustic park. And he started telling me about this side thing he was doing, which was researching kratom. Now, I call it kratom because that's what he called it. So I got into that. There must be 5 or 6 different pronunciations.
Mm-hmm.
But that's where I got my start. So I call it kratom. And the idea was to do, there was this film called Leaf of Faith, which a lot of people have seen and enjoyed. But the fact is that Leaf of Faith is not a journalistic film. It's a propaganda film. And propaganda films have their place in the world, but I don't believe there's any substitution for journalism. And journalism is defined very simply as the search for truth by professionals. Now, originally, I wanted to call this film The Truth About Kratom. The truth about kratom is complex and elusive, and a lot isn't known, which you'll see in the film, some people talking about that. So in the end, we called it The Mysteries of Kratom because there's less known about it than there is talked about it, that kind of thing. So our goal is always to do something that's good for society and that is good for, we promote public health. So you'll see in this film that there are many, many, many points of view. But you also see that clearly by the weight of their presence, that the points of view and the knowledge of scientists is presented foremost. Lots of people have points of view, and they can be legitimate. And especially when people describe their own experience. I'm not going to argue with you about your experience, but there is science and there's personal experience, and those are 2 different things, and each has its credibility and authenticity. So we want to do something that's heavy on science, lots of points of view, lots of information, lots of framing of the issues you guys talk about every day, or maybe not every day, but frequently. And you guys are, in fact, experts because of the combination of your personal experience and the fact that you talk to so many other people. You represent not just your point of view, but a lot of gathered information and a lot of other people's points of view as well. So that was the goal in this film. Now, the film, we've tried different things with our different films. Some of them heavily live shows. We've had one of our films probably had 60 live showings. We actually made an Italian version and took it to Italy and showed it in the city hall of Amalfi, where a lot of the Italian American immigrants had come from, the Amalfi Coast of Italy. We've had some of our films on public television, several of them. And our last film, which was called Mundo Maya, which is about the Maya people of Mexico's Yucatan. And it's really about immigration. I guess you'd say it's partly about immigration, but it's mainly about asking people to understand and respect indigenous people. And that was picked up by NETA, which is one of the 2 big distributors for public TV. So it's in their catalog, and any public TV station in the US can pick it up. I have, a few people have reached out to me. I don't know where it's shown I'll probably go back to them and ask it at some point. But that was, that's pretty legit, And I got to tell you, Scott and I, we got a little bit of help from other people, but it's mainly, it's kind of like two guys in a garage. And the amazing thing is, with not very expensive cameras, including these days, I'm using this a lot. So with not very expensive cameras, my MacBook Pro, some other equipment, obviously, we make films that on public TV, we've had films that we made for less than $1,000. And the next film in the programming is a Ken Burns film made for $40 million. So no, I'm not saying we're as good as I'm not going to make that wild claim, but the fact that we're on the same platform, we're on the same stage, tells me, and I think I tell others, video is the storytelling medium of our age. You guys know it well.
Yep.
It's democratized by social media and by the basic tools of video storytelling. Anybody can tell their story with video. And that's one of our messages. And we urge people to tell their story, especially people whose stories have not been told. And there are lots of groups and individuals in this country whose stories really aren't understood. So I say, get this thing out. You can even edit on it and start making videos.
Absolutely. I'm a huge fan of video. I think more people should use this type of platform for it. And we're all big with using TikTok and trying to get people comfortable sharing their stories on TikTok. And it's happening more and more. I feel like more people are getting comfortable.
Yeah, hopefully. Yeah, I don't, I'm too old for TikTok. I aged out.
I thought
Steve, we used to think the same thing.
Yeah.
Now we're over there flourishing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Good.
And we're
my
actually,
son does it. My son and I are actually making a film now together. So
cool.
That's a wonderful
awesome.
thing.
I do believe everybody deserves to tell their story because there's always somebody out there that needs to hear it.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. But surprisingly, we talk to a lot of older people on TikTok, and they are looking for alternatives for their pain meds.
Yep.
And it's amazing how many of them are on TikTok and they're finding us.
Well, a lot of TikTok is very informational. I mean, what I've seen is goofy.
And I thought the same thing. And then I saw what Misty was doing, and Misty does a great job on TikTok. I'm like, oh, there is another side to this.
Yeah.
Yeah, cool.
And it's really
you're
powerful.
Making it happen. One of the great things about these tools is they may have been intended for one thing, but you can use them for whatever you want to do. And if you can make it work, more power to you.
That's what I initially thought of TikTok was like, oh, it's just a bunch of teenagers dancing around, doing Tide Pod challenges and stupid crap like that.
Right.
Yeah.
But I made it my own. I get over there and I advocate the science, about Kratom, and I advocate my testimony, and people are accidentally finding my videos, and that's how they're accidentally finding Kratom.
Yeah.
And then they become in that shock and awe of saving their life with the plant.
Yeah.
One of the mysteries of Kratom.
Yeah. By the way, I do want to mention something about our film on YouTube. We actually made, this is crazy. We decided to put it up on YouTube for free because we were trying a different approach and we wanted to get it to a large audience as possible. Unfortunately, when we uploaded it, we uploaded the wrong version.
Oh no.
So the version that we'll see today actually has some problems with contrast and saturation that are not in our film. But for whatever reason, there was a version of it that was not fixed up or something. So you'll notice, because I know you're discerning viewers, you'll notice a few things that are a little bit off, but it doesn't take away from the content. It's just unfortunate.
I didn't notice anything when I saw it the first time.
Yeah, the thing about YouTube is we usually post on Vimeo, which isn't a big viewership thing, but good quality. With Vimeo, you can upload additional or revisions to the film to the same URL. With YouTube, you cannot. So
Oh,
we
yeah.
we put it up there. We raced out our announcements. We spread the URL every way we knew how, and then we were stuck. But like I said, it doesn't take away from the content. Just it hurts our pride a little bit that it's a bit.
It looks fine to me, Steve. I think you're good.
Okay.
I think you're
Thank
good.
you.
I agree.
Absolutely. All right.
Are you able to get it on PBS or Netflix
This one we have not put on PBS yet. Our plan is to do it out on YouTube like we're doing now and see where it goes. And then, because the PBS, the process of getting it up there is many months. I mean, it takes
imagine.
First, you have to be approved by them, and then you have to do a lot of things to the film that are kind of technical and design things that have to do with sponsorships and logos and all this kind of crazy stuff. And it's just it's kind of a long process. So we said, hey, we'll set that aside. That's for later, because we think this film is a natural PBS. It's informational. It's high-minded. So we think it'll go there eventually, but we can't control it. We're at the mercy of other people's taste, which is fine. That's the way life is.
Right.
So I'm not complaining.
I think the film is very well done, and I think we're going to keep spreading the word and getting more eyeballs on it, and hopefully that will help elevate this so that it can one day get to PBS.
Yeah, good. When people go to YouTube, they have an opportunity to like it and things like that, and we have lots of comments, and we have kind of a nice dialogue going on there. And I guess the more activity you have around those things, the more likely it is to be presented to someone who's viewed similar films. Yeah. So that's part of the power of YouTube. Vimeo doesn't have that.
Right. Vimeo is great I know filmmakers love it, very good quality, but YouTube is owned by Google. Google's the number one
for sharing.
Yeah,
made for sharing, made for advertising.
Yeah.
And social media, I mean, it's crazy how effective it is if you can just get it to the right audience.
Right. Yeah. Well, YouTube is the number 2 search engine, and it's not surprising with them being owned by Google that being number 1. So y'all be sure. We're broadcasting it. Y'all are either watching on one of our YouTube or Facebook channels, but I will, after we're done with this watch party tonight, I will put the link to the direct link to the documentary in the description where you're watching, and then y'all be sure to later go and like it and comment. I did a comment when it came out. Yeah. I made sure I put a nice big comment sharing my testimony with Kratom.
Good.
I don't know if I did or not.
Oh, gotta go back.
Yeah, I know. I have to go look.
Yeah, everybody be sure to. It's on the Elm City Films YouTube page, but I will link it, or if you still can't find it, y'all feel free to DM me or whatever, and I will send it to you. So let's watch the film. I've seen it before but it's been a while, and it's very good. And and looking forward to we're going to go off screen for this, and then we're going to come back on later and when it's over. So y'all be sure to stick around, and then post your questions later when we come back, and let's talk to Steve about it while we have him here for this. So this is exciting. All right. So I'm going to cue this up, and
see you later.
Yeah, we'll be back on the screen in just a little bit. This is a process.
Grab your popcorn and your Dr. Pepper.
or your Kratom beverage of choice.
Or your pumpkin spice latte.
Yeah. All right. So, and y'all feel free to keep commenting. I was going to post, people comment. I was going to put it on the screen. Y'all don't mind. Yeah.
That's a good idea.
All right. Let's start the Mysteries of Kratom.
Today we are at Saraburi province in Thailand. The owner of this place has converted her land from growing lemongrass and some other Thai traditional fruits into kratom. 18 months ago, after Thailand has legalized the kratom, they seized opportunity. So they decided to grow the kratom here next to the water in her land. This place, they are careful on no use of pesticide. They never use chemical, and they protect their water to be as clean as possible for the safety of the kratom products.
Renaud planted thousands of trees on her land, hoping to capitalize on a global boom in demand for kratom. On the other side of the world, in the United States, many consumers of kratom-based products praise it for helping them deal with pain and other ailments.
In dealing with chronic pain and doing pain management, taking high-powered opioids for many years, being that's all that I knew for the pain, it was okay. But then I discovered Kratom and I got even better pain relief. It was amazing to me. And that's why I become an advocate, making sure that other people know that there's a plant out there that could possibly help more than traditional opioids that can be dangerous.
Yet there's another side to the story. In a Texas town south of Dallas, the family of Dustin Hernandez is mourning his death, which was blamed on an overdose of metrogenine, one of the active ingredients in kratom.
My family's suing the kratom industry to try to get some control over it to keep from killing people. They're selling stuff as all natural and safe, and they're being sneaky about it because they know that it's not. And it's very harmful, and it can lead to death.
That, in a nutshell, is the yin and yang of kratom. The plant shows the potential to improve health, and it puts money in the pockets of farmers in Southeast Asia. But for some in the United States, kratom means nothing but trouble. In recent years, products derived from the leaves of the kratom tree have become a staple in smoke and CBD shops and online stores, herbal medicine outlets, and even in gas stations.
I think with kratom, we have to look at it as a twofold paradigm. One is the traditional modes of consumption, which is how they use it in Southeast Asia, the plant leaves by boiling or chewing, as opposed to how it's consumed here in North America, where we have highly concentrated products that may contain other contaminants, consumption by individuals who may be on multiple medications or have other medical conditions.
There are different types of kratom products. In Southeast Asia, people chew fresh leaves or consume drinks made by boiling fresh leaves in water. People in the United States make drinks from dried kratom powder or crushed leaves. In the U.S., kratom extracts may increase the potency of active compounds and health risks. Some kratom-labeled products in the U.S. contain other psychoactive substances. Americans take kratom-labeled products for a variety of reasons, as a mild pick-me-up, like coffee or tea, to address chronic pain, and to withdraw from addiction to opioids and other substances. Those last two uses intrigue medical scientists. Humans have been using opioids as remedies for thousands of years, and now, with the rapid spread of addiction to opioids, it has become a full-blown love-hate relationship. We need opioids to manage pain during surgery and in its aftermath, and in the final stages of life. This family of drugs is essential to modern life, yet opioids are also a torment to individuals and families, and are entangled with some of our most pressing social problems.
I think there are still many mysteries around kratom. Research in substance use disorder over 30, 50 years maybe, there hasn't been much progress. And if you look at the problem of substance use disorder, is enormous, is huge. So ultimately, we want to find or discover a medication that would help people who have substance use disorder.
Opioids are natural products. They're isolated from the opium poppy. all disease and all problems are really coming from nature in the beginning, and we should have a balance in nature, and we should have a solution to those problems somewhere out there. And so I feel very strongly that Kratom could be one of the pieces of that puzzle in terms of helping solve the opioid crisis.
Kratom has a great potential because in the past, it has been used in traditional medicine for mild illnesses such as muscle pain, muscle fatigue, and diarrhea. Now I can see its great potential in obesity, diabetes, depression, and pain.
Could Kratom be a solution? Can we reap the potential benefits of Kratom without the health risks that come with Kratom-labeled products sold in the United States today? The short answer is maybe. So much about Kratom is still unknown or little understood, and so much misinformation is being spread that there are no quick or easy answers.
Almost everything is unknown about Kratom. There's very low solid evidence. It has not been comprehensively focusing on multiple aspects of Kratom cultivation, on Kratom use, and all potential aspects of pharmacology of all active ingredients in Kratom.
This film is the story of the quest to solve the mysteries of Kratom. The Kratom tree is native to Southeast Asia and is grown primarily on plantations. Many of the native trees have been chopped down, but when left alone, the trees can grow to be 40 to 50 feet tall. Most of the Kratom-based products sold in the United States use leaves grown in Indonesia, where there is little regulation governing growing, using, and exporting the leaves.
Saya memiliki kebun itu ada kebun dan memiliki beberapa pegawai. Untuk proses pemeliharaan itu sangat mudah. Prosesnya cuman butuh air bersih dan perawatan seperti pupuk. Setelah proses panen tadi tersebut dipetik daunnya, ya kita jemur. Setelah proses remahan, langkah selanjutnya ya kita harus menggilingnya menjadi tepung. Nah, Kratom yang setelah kami jual, biasanya itu setelah kami packing, kami ekspor. Apalagi untuk ekonomi daerah terpencil seperti di Kalimantan Barat, terutama di Kapuas Hulu, itu Kratom sangat menunjang untuk ekonomi bagi petani. Karena di sisi mereka dulu sebenarnya sebagai petani karet, merubahnya menjadi petani Kratom, karena penjualan Kratom itu sangat mudah.
Thailand legalized Kratom for traditional medicine in 2022, but didn't immediately allow companies to sell health remedy products at higher dosages. As of early 2024, exporting was illegal. That put a squeeze on farmers and on prices.
ปริมาณเยอะขึ้นตลาดมันยังไม่กว้างคือไปเมืองนอกไม่ได้ก็คือใช้ในประเทศเนี่ยตอนนี้มันค่อนข้างจะเหลือเฟือตามที่รู้มาว่ามีที่เขารับก็คือมีอเมริกา
In rural Southeast Asia, there's a long tradition of people chewing kratom leaves or boiling them to make drinks. The leaf is said to help people tolerate hard work in the hot sun or to treat pain, and for everything from improving one's sex life to managing diabetes. Since legalization in Thailand, stands selling kratom-based drinks are popping up all over the place. Cooks add fresh kratom leaves to water in large cauldrons and boil them for 2.5 hours. Then they pour the liquid through a filter and chill it rapidly. In a couple of hours, the kratom decoction is ready to drink. In its pure state, kratom juice tastes like a bitter tea. Some kratom sellers sweeten it by adding soda pop or sugar.
How real kratom decoction cooked in Thailand or Malaysia looks like. It's a milky, non-transparent substance.
ความถี่ประมาณชั่วโมงละครั้งหรือ2 ชั่วโมงละครั้งประมาณนี้
Thaworn Miadklom chews 4 or 5 kratom leaves per day to help him deal with the heat. He says withdrawal symptoms are minor when he stops using it.
เพราะว่าวันก่อนนี้ไปเฝ้าหลานอยู่โรงพยาบาลสงขลานั้น2 วันก็ไม่ได้กินทั้งใบก็ยังอยู่ได้โดยที่เวลาไม่ทำงาน
But other farm workers say they have painful symptoms when they stop, though they are short-lived.
มากบางทีมันก็เข็ดกล้ามเนื้ออะไรแบบนี้แล้วก็หยุดจะดีกว่ามันปวดเมื่อยตามข้อพอกินมั่งไม่กินมั่งแล้วก็มันเมื่อยตามร่างกายแต่พอมันก็หยุดไปได้ดีกว่าแล้วก็ร่างกินครับ
For people with severe dependence on kratom, they want to use it all the time. So it's like chain smoking. And if they stop using it, they have very strong craving symptoms and bone pain, a lot of withdrawal symptoms that is quite severe.
Much of the research in Southeast Asia focuses on kratom's traditional uses. It is typically consumed when fresh there, while kratom-based products in the US are dried, processed, and shipped thousands of miles, which may lead to degradation and even toxicity. At University Science Malaysia, researchers are investigating kratom as it exists in that country, where it is illegal to sell or consume. They hope to foster the development of new botanical drugs to address pain and treat diabetes and substance use disorders.
Our mid-term and long-term plan is basically to develop kratom into a pharmaceutical product. Okay, not to be used as an OTC, but to be used with prescription, just like the opioids. Okay, so it could be one of the option for those undergoing methadone replacement therapy.
The kratom research program began to take shape after researchers saw that people were using kratom to deal with withdrawal from opioids. They started with surveys of kratom consumers to see what was going on, then launched studies of the impact of kratom on mice and rats. Their studies paint a vastly different picture of kratom use in Malaysia compared to the United States.
A lot of people are having negative thoughts, negative perceptions. Kratom was turned into a huge controversy. But when I went out on my field trips, I discovered that what was being claimed was the opposite than what was being reported to me by people who have been using kratom.
I've not seen nor have I heard of any fatal overdose of kratom in Malaysia. Non-fatal, there could be possibilities of it, but again, there's no documented evidence.
In our region, the Southeast region, we don't find any big issue with kratom because we can get the plant fresh leaves here, and people use fresh leaf to prepare kratom decoction. Some say that it may have some addiction property at higher dose. But as to my knowledge, if it's given in a proper dose, I don't think so it can be addictive.
Marek Havarsky of Yale has been collaborating with the group at University Science Malaysia for more than a decade.
We have conducted a series of laboratory studies, of ethnographic investigations. We are doing a lot of analytical work, trying to understand chemical composition of kratom leaves. We conducted one randomized clinical trial with humans.
They ran the study using humans to see if kratom lessens pain. They recruited 26 volunteers who were kratom users. Each participant got 3 drinks. Some people got kratom and the placebo, others got just the placebo. After drinking, participants plunged a hand into ice water, held it there, and removed it when they could not stand the pain any longer. A statistician analyzed results. Participants who drank kratom were on average twice as tolerant of pain as others.
Our preliminary study gives us a very an early signal of how useful but potentially it can be useful for pain.
Meanwhile, colleagues at USM are experimenting with rats to explore using whole leaf kratom to help people avoid the pain and discomfort of withdrawal from other substances.
So now I'm working like 3 kinds of the model. One is on methamphetamine, which is a psychostimulant, and morphine, and also now is on alcohol to see whether kratom can be used as a replacement therapy for these 3 models.
Another major thrust for the group is raising kratom trees under controlled conditions so they can produce leaves with consistent quality and potency. That means establishing their own kratom plantation.
We are starting a line of botanical research trying to understand the botany and biology of that tree.
To get the plantation going, they're gathering samples of superior plants from illegal kratom plantations in northern Malaysia.
All right.
In our field work today, we visited farmers and they told us kratom trees are very, very resilient. They can be harvested over and over for a very long period of time. We've seen trees that are completely naked, so to speak. Every single leaf is picked, and that tree springs to life fairly soon and they continue producing.
So this was my thinking, yes. The plan was that I This is the first ever that anybody attempts to bring back kratom to nature, so to speak. I don't know. There's so many important points, you know.
The researchers are also using seeds to propagate trees. They're investigating to identify the optimal stage of seed development in which to harvest the seeds for planting. At Prince of Sangli University in Thailand, scientists are exploring a wide range of kratom-related topics, from botany to neuroscience.
The most important, what I discovered, is the distribution of kratom around country. In Thailand, there are contain different amount of the metraginin and some other type of the compounds.
Metraginin is one of the most important active ingredients found in kratom.
The high and the low depends on the seasonal and geographical origin. With the chemical profile, they are not similar in every aspect. So we have to quantify of the chemicals in each sample.
We use whole extract of kratom. We don't use the purified component because we really want to represent the plants because the local people use leaf.
Kratom extract show antidepressant-like effects in animal, and we can use kratom to treat like drug withdrawal, and it also have reduced body weight in animal.
Because it's very sensitive to perform experiments in human in terms of ethics. That's why we use non-invasive technique to record the brainwave or EEG in volunteer who consume kratom.
From our preliminary research, we don't found any difference between the people who regularly use kratom for longer than 40 years compared to the normal people. We don't have any defects in their heart or brain signal. We found like the people who use kratom for longer time have lower level of cholesterol.
Sakan Warren Homhoon of nearby Wailalak University is studying the medicinal effects of traditional folk remedies that include kratom.
In the southern of Thailand, the Thai traditional doctor, we have a lot of traditional herbal medicines. We have a lot of formulation, but the major problem is about we don't have the lack of the scientifics. So I found that kratom has the therapeutic effect, especially in the metabolic disease. But the one major problem, and we try to find, is the concentration or the dosage.
In Bangkok, Dr. CBD, a seller of over-the-counter herbal remedies, is developing kratom-based remedies, well-being products, and energy drinks.
The mission and the vision of the company clearly was, to create these standardized products to be distributed globally. So we do work on the active lifestyle people who want to exercise, have active lifestyle. They want the energy, they want their stamina. You also have products for people with healthcare pain points. So that would help people with, diabetes, blood sugar level, people with pain. And also we're working on the formulation for opioid addictions. But we don't just work on kratom or mitragynine alone. We do have pharmacological formulations to use different types of herbs, different type of extract to help deliver the best efficacy for those pain points.
Horncha is working with farmers and food processors to assure steady supplies of quality kratom.
And right now we have supported from Thai FDA to bring kratom into dietary supplement, into the raw material, and it is our big challenge to export kratom to other countries, especially in USA.
The important thing that we have been focusing on is to combine the strength of Western medicine and Eastern medicine together. We use natural substance to help people, to heal people, but we have to do it with Western standard so that things do have quality control, safety and non-toxicity must come first, and lastly the efficacy needs to be there. About 16-17 years ago, when my son was 2 years old, he was diagnosed with Asperger, which is certain type of autism. We did try the Western medicine, didn't do him any good. So we started healthy products, gluten-free, dairy-free, casein-free. We began the journey and it did work out well. He's now in first year of university doing majoring in chemistry. We're very proud of him. The inspiration to help people and to get into the natural way of healing yourself got me into doing this.
ถ้ากับจริงๆแล้วอ่ะตรงสมมติว่าผมมีบอกว่าเฮ้ยภาษาไทยที่มันต่างกันว่ามันก็ยังไม่ได้ลดน้ำตาล
Somewhere I have never traveled, and it all seems new to me. Lightning and frightening, and here you love forevermore. Pick me up pieces on the floor.
Okay, so when I was younger, when I grew up, my plan was to always join the military. But I mean, my grandfather got in a Brown Star in Korea. My father enlisted for Vietnam. So I was about 5 days away from graduation, and I got out of my rack one morning, and when I put my foot down, it felt like there was like a nail driving right up like a spike through my foot. When I got my medical discharge, they just basically sent me home. I didn't have any insurance, you know what I mean? And I was in a lot of pain, and I had to work. I was just coming home, I had to go back to work. So I had to figure out some way to deal with it. And the easiest thing were painkillers. There was about 3 or 4 years for the Percocets. And then I really, really, really wanted off all of it, but I didn't know what to do. I didn't want to go through a withdrawal, you know what I mean? I was a coward. Kratom, I use the powder. I make a tea. Most people call it like pulse and wash, where you just dump the powder in and then swish it around. It tastes terrible. So my idea with that is to just get it out of the way as soon as possible. The negatives for me is when I started messing around with extracts, I did get the skin discoloration. And that was from the Kratom. It was like parts of like my cheeks and stuff would just get like a little bit brown. So it's not that Kratom is a cure-all. It's absolutely not a cure-all. But what it does is, if addiction feels like you're going down a hill on a bike with your hands in the air, Kratom will help you put your hands on the handlebars. And if you work enough, you'll be able to pump the brakes. And if you work more than that, you'll be able to steer the bike. Everybody in Philadelphia has some kind of identification with Rocky, but just that one line where, you know, like, it's not about how hard you get hit, it's about how hard you can get hit and keep going. There's nothing more true.
America's opioid crisis exploded in the late 1990s when Purdue Pharmaceuticals marketed OxyContin aggressively, especially in factory and mining areas where manual labor often leads to injury and pain.
I went into the coal mines and got hurt. A rock fell on me, busted my knee all up. And that was during this, I don't know if you'd call it a pandemic or epidemic for sure, but people were getting opioids freely. And I began to fall into that atmosphere. In the beginning, it was for the pain. And then I found later that I needed it. It's just something you wouldn't wish on your worst enemy. It's just terrible because they affected my life. They affected my family. They affected my job. They affected everything that I wanted to do.
Wade's sister suggested that he try Kratom-based products, and he did.
About 15 to 20 minutes after I drank the Kratom, I began to feel better. And it just lifted my spirits. It helped my withdrawals. And I was able to quit the opioids with this Kratom tea. It was a lifesaver for me.
So I suffer from degenerative disc disease in both my neck and back, and it is debilitating pain. I've been living with this for a very, very long time. Before Kratom, I was quite limited with my physical activity. I could not really bend and lift much. It was an issue going to the grocery store, like just little things that we all take for granted. At the time I discovered Kratom, I had just started taking care of my elderly mother, who needed lots of attention. And because of this Kratom in my life, I was able to do the physical work I needed to take care of her. Looking back, I would have never been able to care for her the way I did if I was still taking opioids for my chronic pain.
American Kratom product users who have switched from opioids to Kratom say the herbal product is safer and can be just as effective. While effects vary by individual and dose, Kratom users say it helps address pain. Unlike with opioids, tolerance isn't a problem, and cravings and withdrawal symptoms are much less strong than with opioids. Kratom isn't just used as an alternative to opioids, though. For instance, some people use it for dealing with anxiety, depression, or PTSD.
I struggled with anxiety and depression for most of my life. Anxiety of, not wanting to leave the house sometimes, struggled to get myself out of bed, a huge fear of anything new. The depression would manifest itself in just having like episodes of 2 days, maybe 3 days, where I just didn't want to do nothing, didn't want to talk to anybody. I ended up getting medical treatment for my depression and anxiety, got some medications, just some basic antidepressants, and those helped a lot. And in conjunction with that, though, Kratom offers a good 2 to 3 hour relief of symptoms.
For some, lesser doses of Kratom products provide a morning pick-me-up or an alternative to coffee for keeping sharp throughout the day.
I make about a 40-ounce French press of the Kratom every morning, and I let it steep. And then around 11 a.m. to about 2 p.m., I'll drink those, and it gives me a bit of energy, keeps me awake, and gets me through what would otherwise be nap time for me.
Kratom users sing its praises. It seems to help in so many ways. Yet scientists and doctors say more research is needed to explore each of the claims.
However, these are claims that are out there and are endorsed by some of the Kratom consumers. So we have to take them seriously for face value and use them towards employing more resources to conduct more research.
The chief advocate for Kratom in the United States is the American Kratom Association, which touts its benefits, advocates for regulations based on a model it authored, and runs a good practice certification program for manufacturers.
Our organization is focused on two missions. One, preserve access for consumers, and secondly, preserve the marketplace by advocating for good regulations of Kratom products. So we want to make sure that to the extent that we are able to influence the decisions, that when a Kratom product enters the marketplace, that it's properly manufactured, that it is not adulterated, that it uses food-grade solvents for extract Kratom products, and that it's labeled properly. And that's what we advocate for, both at the federal and the state level here in the United States.
Kratom consumption is part of a much larger trend in the United States. Many people are turning to botanical remedies and dietary supplements to improve their health and well-being.
I think there's a lot of self-medication. Well, number one, because I think human beings have always self-medicated. But in America in particular, there's a problem with access to healthcare because it's so unaffordable. And, people go to a doctor, they get a medicine, they feel better, and they're out a couple $100, or depending if they don't have health insurance, they're out a couple of $1,000s.
A lot of Americans are using Kratom because they're seeking more natural alternatives to modern medicine. There's this movement and this big distrust towards modern medicine and also the big pharmaceutical industry.
The trend has its roots in folk medicine.
And my great-grandfather had taken care of a lot of the men in logging camps. And, he taught us that simple things like a yarrow plant was able to be applied to open bleeding wound to help stop the bleeding. And these are just things that was handed down by accident. You learned because you was around people who used them.
Now, the attraction to botanicals is flourishing in all strata of society.
I'm in this business because
I believe there is an ancestrally aligned way of living that served us for hundreds of thousands of years, which we've deviated from in modern times, and it has compromised our health as a whole. I like botanical remedies because often they are the zero consequence solution. They often treat the underlying causes of disease, inflammatory patterns. They're self-balancing most often, and they are going to be the most benefit with the least side effects.
But medical scientists and botanists warn that just because a botanical remedy is natural, that doesn't mean it's good for you. Many plants are poisonous to humans.
In modern times, very slowly, certain plants have been found to produce chemicals which can be adapted to make effective prescription medicines. So it's modifying the poisons in plants to make them useful to us and not toxic and lethal to us. For example, the yew tree, Taxus baccata. This is a plant which has produced poisons for millions of years to stop it being eaten or attacked by parasites or by fungi. And one of the chemicals it produces is a precursor of Taxol or paclitaxel, a treatment for breast cancer. If you eat just that amount of a yew tree leaf, you will be dead. And a horse will be also killed by that amount. But the chemicals from this can be extracted and converted into paclitaxel, and in the right dose only kills the cells of dividing breast cancers.
For many Kratom users in the United States, the herb doesn't seem to have much of a downside, mainly constipation, and if they take too much, nausea. But that doesn't mean Kratom-based products are always safe to consume or come without consequences. Haro says some sellers have been jacking up the quantity of a byproduct of metrogenine in their concoctions, creating potentially dangerous results.
I was recently at a trade show where a lot of Kratom products were being displayed, and I see these vendors now developing novel new products, including vape pens with 7-hydroxymetrogenine that by nature are dangerous. They also have 7-hydroxy extracted powders. Those should be banned from the marketplace because they're not natural. They're synthetically derived, and that's a real threat to the public.
In some cases, Kratom products have been blamed for deaths. Dustin Hernandez grew up in Central Texas, a land of wide open spaces, cowboy culture, and endless ribbons of highway.
Story in this house, I guess I'll tell it. Most folks around here say I should still sell it. It wasn't always bad. Beautiful she stands. All the darkness comes here, right in my head. This ain't the life I always wanted. I chose to live inside. It's haunted. It's haunted by the memories of living. This thing's sweaty. Haunted by hurt and loss of pride. Haunted by nights when I don't hear.
Dustin Hernandez's father died young, and the boy was raised by his mother and sisters. He went away to college, but afterwards he returned home and worked in the hospitality industry. He was working the night shift at the desk in a Motel 6 when he suffered a seizure and died. A coroner ruled that a metrogenine overdose caused his death.
Dustin was my boy. He was a good boy. He was shy. He was no troublemaker. He loved cats. He worked hard. He helped me a lot. And Kratom got him.
And Dustin started using Kratom about 4 years before he passed away. He used it for anxiety. That's why he started using it.
So when Dustin passed away, I was awake that night at 3:30ish, and I smelled his cologne in the house, and I thought, how weird. And I thought, oh my gosh, something happened to him. And I thought, surely not. And then he was like coming home, and when the police knocked on the door, I knew something happened to him. Me and Dustin used to drink coffee, and he got me this cup. I miss drinking coffee with him in the mornings.
I think at first it helped him a little bit, but the more he took it, the more he depended on it, and the more anxiety he got.
He was a young man who had struggles with mental illness, with anxiety. He was looking for ways to get better, to feel better, and to find a real medication that would help him. And he told his family over and over again that, according to what he had seen, this is something that is better than prescription medications for what he was dealing with, and it was safe and healthy. And for somebody like that, especially when they get dependent on the substance, that's a unjust road to have this young man walk to his death.
MCT Law has won a couple of high-profile cases. In Florida, a judge awarded their clients $11 million. In a Washington state case, a jury awarded $2.5 million.
Would you recommend Kratom to, a father of a family who's a working man struggling with pain? Would you recommend Kratom as, a potential substance to provide relief?
A few things that I would point out is, if you want to take Kratom, do it under medical supervision. Inform your practitioner of it before you start taking it, because of the potential for example, CNS depressant additive effects.
This industry is a messy industry, but I would characterize it as it's similar to organized crime. You have entities and individuals at the top who are likely responsible for high percentages of the kratom that is getting smuggled into the country. And then you've got enough money, since this is a multi-billion-dollar industry, you have enough money that they can totally take a page out of the playbook of big pharma and big tobacco. And they hire lobbyists. They're even funding their own kratom-friendly researchers.
None of the defendants in these cases agreed to comment, but Haddow of the American Kratom Association, in the Talavera case, blamed a kratom vendor and the Food and Drug Administration.
And when you look at the product itself, it is stunning. It is essentially a Ziploc bag where they have written with a Sharpie on the front of it, space dust. And they characterize it as, in their sales material, as an extract product, a highly potent extract. But they don't have any labeling on it. They don't give the conditions for use, what's the serving size, don't describe what's in the product. That product should never have been on the marketplace. And to the extent that it either contributed to or caused the death of that individual, there's one responsible party, and that's the Food and Drug Administration, for their failure to stop that kind of marketing of products.
In 2016, the Drug Enforcement Administration attempted to categorize kratom as a Schedule I drug, like heroin and LSD, but it was turned back by an outcry from kratom advocates. Earlier, the FDA banned the importation of kratom. This approach essentially created a gray market where some unscrupulous vendors sell questionable products. The Food and Drug Administration says kratom is not appropriate for use as a dietary supplement or food additive because there is inadequate information about potential health risks. It is considered an adulterated product. Under federal law, it is illegal to import or market kratom for consumption by humans or animals. It is imported illegally, sometimes as potpourri, fertilizer, or incense. Salmonella has been found in shipments. Before introducing new dietary supplements, manufacturers or distributors must prove that the ingredients are safe for human consumption. To date, no sellers of kratom-based products have done so. Federal regulations grandfather products that were sold as dietary supplements before 1994. Some distributors are seeking to establish that supplements containing kratom were sold before then.
If the kratom industry wants to sell their product legally in the US, they first need to determine whether this product is a drug or a dietary supplement. It's currently marketed with pain relief and addiction mitigation claims that are drug claims. And as such, it would need to go through the FDA new drug approval process, which has to demonstrate both the safety of the product and the efficacy of it, or its usefulness for the purported claim. If they wish to sell it as a dietary supplement, they have to find a use that is amenable to the supplement regulations for supporting some healthy function of the body, but they also still have to demonstrate safety. And here, the safety is a higher bar, actually, because a consumer would be using it on their own and unrestricted, there has to be a means to determine how a consumer can use this product safely.
Do you use imported dietary supplements or non-prescription drugs? Do you use them because they're labeled in a language you know? Not all imported products sold as dietary supplements or as non-prescription drugs are safe. Some may not work, and others have been found to contain hidden chemicals that could hurt or even kill you. They may claim to be all natural, alternative treatments, or herbal remedies. They promise things like weight loss, bodybuilding, sexual enhancement, and pain relief. Some even claim to treat cancer, HIV, or diabetes. But beware, claims like these don't necessarily mean the products work or are safe, and often they aren't. They are sold at ethnic stores, flea markets, gas stations, online, and in many other places throughout our communities. The best way to protect yourself and your family is to talk to your healthcare provider about safe and effective medical options. To learn more, visit www.fda.gov/supplement safety.
When the coroner called, he said, "I'm pretty sure your son died of kratom," as he found a couple extract bottles in the trash can, and he had seen other kratom-related deaths in the county. We'd never heard of kratom, like others have said. We had to ask the coroner to spell it so that we could go Google it.
A number of states have banned the sale and use of kratom-based products, and others have passed regulations requiring quality controls and labeling. Still, much of the kratom is sold online, and it's a Wild West market. That's why the American Kratom Association is urging Congress to regulate the industry using model legislation that it drafted. This bill would require the FDA to establish a task force to examine health and safety issues. Also, it prohibits the FDA from regulating kratom products more restrictively than it does food and dietary supplements.
Kratom is a valuable harm reduction tool to many people trying to get their lives back together, whether it's from addiction to opiates or alcohol, or just having a mood enhancement thing that makes them feel better and more normal. For me, after a 14-year addiction to OxyContin and being heavily overprescribed opiates by my doctors, I was able to find something that made me feel normal again.
The AKA hosted lobbying activities in congressional buildings in late 2023, which included presentations by scientists and National Institute on Drug Abuse Director Nora Volkow.
Just from the perspective of health and safety, again, very low evidence that the use of kratom produces respiratory depression. But there are many things that we do not know that are important. We don't know how kratom products that are being sold with various contaminants influences health. We do not know much about that drug interaction. So you are in a medication and you're taking kratom. It becomes important to see that these drugs don't counteract one another or enhance one another. We don't have data on the long-term effects of kratom. And we also don't have data on the effects of the use of kratom during pregnancy.
Among the advocates were several people who told stories about arrests for possession of kratom in states where it is banned.
My father was addicted to heroin for 20 years. In 2019, he found kratom, and he was able to be completely sober. Kratom helped him with his withdrawals and suicidal thoughts. In 2021, he was arrested in Arkansas, where kratom is banned. He was sentenced to 10 years in prison. 3 weeks into that sentence, he was killed. And so here I am a year later. I would like to see Arkansas lift their kratom ban.
Advocates fanned out to make their case for the legislation to staff members for their senators and representatives.
I'm a constituent from Houston, Texas. I'm in town for some events, and I wanted to see if I can meet with the person that handles FDA issues for rep green. So I just met with the aide in my rep's office here in the house, and I had such a warm, receptive woman that listened to my concerns, really seemed to care that I care about kratom and really wanted to learn and understand more about this plant. So I feel really good about the meeting I just had. It went for several minutes. It wasn't like a quick get out of here. It was like, yeah, I want to hear this and I want to learn more. And she asked questions, and it was very validating as a kratom advocate.
People who said they had lost loved ones to kratom showed up outside the AKA gatherings and argued against the legislation.
My opinion of the American Kratom Association's bill before Congress, the Federal Kratom Consumer Protection Act, does nothing to protect consumers and is designed to advance their own interest at the expense of public health. The American Kratom Association downplays all kratom deaths, yet at least 3 of the kratom vendors listed on the AKA's website as GMP qualified are currently involved in wrongful death lawsuits. This bill is misleading in that they use the word consumer in the title and nowhere else in the rest of the bill.
Even some of the kratom advocates are calling for additional state and federal regulations to protect the health of consumers.
As far as the laws with kratom go, I think the more laws there are about labeling kratom products, the better, because then that's more information that gets out there to the consumer. I think the laws should be stronger where they are. There should be required testing, lab testing, to make sure there's no heavy metals and bacteria. I wish they all the laws, like in Oregon, allocated money for enforcement. If it was banned everywhere, then you go from a gray market, which a lot of people refer to it as gray market now, to a black market where there's no regulation. Like we have maybe half the companies are doing the right thing. When kratom's banned, 0 companies will be doing the right thing.
We're advocating for much stronger regulation. The existing regulations that are in place are not sufficient. We're advocating that dosage limits be set, servings per container be set, that the manufacturers have to follow good manufacturing processes and be certified so that consumers are well informed and safe. One area of particular concern is the ever increasing strength of extracts, and then also the new isolates. Extracts are fine as long as they're produced correctly to have the same alkaloid profile as the full leaf does. It's really, it's the old saying that the poison is in the dose.
While the number of deaths blamed on kratom alone are still relatively few, they are still worrisome to some regulators, physicians, and legislators. Problem is, medical scientists' understanding of how kratom interacts with the body is still rudimentary. It doesn't seem to depress breathing, unlike heroin, but there is evidence that it could lead to seizures and heart attacks.
It's very challenging to determine the cause of someone's death in this country. We kind of have this patchwork system of medical examiners and coroners and forensic pathologists, and they may or may not have adequate ability to obtain toxicologic testing. They may not have the financial resources to either do the investigation or to send the samples off to get the testing. They may not have the time and resources to do a complete investigation of the death. And so what you're seeing on the death certificate may or may not actually be the accurate cause of death.
Most Kratom sellers asked to participate in this documentary either declined or didn't respond. Soren Shade of Top Tree Herbs agreed to speak because he said he had nothing to hide.
My mission is to normalize Kratom tea. It is to help people understand the best means of consuming it, which I believe is following the traditional practices, which has been consumed for hundreds of years. We ensure the purity and consistency of our product by sourcing our kratom through a GMP kratom supplier, an importer, who does third-party independent lab testing on it, and which we then, upon purchasing bulk kratom from them, enact our own independent third-party testing.
Tragically, Soren's business partner, Sam Weber, died suddenly in bed one morning in 2022. A coroner blamed his death in part on mitragynine toxicity. Soren says some medical experts are skeptical of the coroner's conclusion, yet still he struggles in the aftermath of Sam's death.
I mean, so one of the questions is, as a business owner, and a friend of someone who passed because of a perceived kratom overdose or mitragynine-related toxicity, why and how do you keep on? Why do you keep on keeping on? One of the ways that I try to honor his legacy is by continuing the business and trying to fulfill the vision, our shared vision, which is to introduce people to a plant that we personally believed in deeply and felt a great deal of benefit from, and recognize that millions of people also benefit from. It always looks like the hill's on fire.
Should we get the binoculars? Spot any birds.
Westerners first learned of kratom when Peter Wilhelm Corthals, a botanist who worked for the Dutch East India Company, described the plant in 1839, Latin name Mitragyna speciosa. It appeared to be nothing special, though, just one of 200 species that Corthals and his colleagues cataloged in studies of Indonesian flora, fauna, and culture. Ellen Field, at the University of Edinburgh in 1921, identified mitragynine as the dominant active alkaloid in dried leaves of the kratom tree. By then, the fresh leaf was reported to be used in Southeast Asia to help people deal with opium addiction and as an anesthetic. A decade later, scientists at Cambridge University used themselves as guinea pigs by consuming dried and powdered kratom leaves and recording their reactions. One of the volunteers promptly vomited and fainted. In 2002, a Japanese research group using guinea pigs concluded that several chemicals in dried kratom were full-on opioids, and 2 of them were more powerful than morphine. Yet a number of researchers are now raising questions about the conventional narrative. They point out that earlier studies identifying kratom as a full opioid were performed on animals, which can react differently than humans. They were done using dry powders rather than fresh leaves, and researchers focused on a handful of discrete compounds rather than evaluating the full spectrum of kratom alkaloids acting together.
But what we know about the most opioid active component of kratom, which is known as mitragynine or mitragynine, is that it binds modestly to the receptor and it doesn't do very much when it binds. Some have had difficulty even finding any activity.
These compounds, most of them in the plant, are interacting with opioid receptors. However, where we delineate this from a traditional opioid is that these compounds have activities at many receptor systems. It's interacting with adrenergic system, adrenaline, or epinephrine that can give us that stimulant sort of feeling. Maybe mood elevation properties are coming from some of these serotonin activities. And we definitely see a difference with Kratom products than we see with traditional opiates.
Some scientists say there's been too much focus on a single component, mitragynine, as it exists in dry kratom, and not enough attention on examining the full spectrum of active ingredients and the fresh leaf.
Mitragynine is a single compound, and that research chemistry of mitragynine is important and difficult and complex. But there needs to be a more careful evaluation of the whole leaf products, the whole leaf itself.
My colleagues who did laboratory research started with mitragynine. We were trying to understand what was done in the laboratory and apply it to the knowledge of what people are consuming in the community, which I think is wrong. This could be possibly the reason for some error in our understanding, and this is the conflation that needs to be corrected or addressed.
This plant is a very complex natural product with many, many chemicals in it. And so I refer to this as a real complex symphony orchestra. And so we're taking each of those out like one instrument at a time, and we're listening to it at full blast. And so it doesn't give you the full picture of what that, tiny piccolo is doing in the symphony orchestra. But we finally get to those pieces and then understand how those all can come back together. So if we see doses get too high and maybe there's some adverse event that we see in an animal, we can start to understand where that may be coming from a single or multiple chemical wise in terms of the mechanism of action.
Traditional medicines made of plants, animals, and microorganisms have been used since prehistoric times to treat diseases. Their use is based primarily on trial and error and handed-down knowledge, rather than on scientific experiments. Example, ginseng for chronic diseases. Modern pharmaceutical medicines, sometimes derived from or modeled on natural substances, typically contain one or a few molecules designed to target specific pharmacological mechanisms. These drugs are developed using the scientific method and clinical trials to establish safety and efficacy. Example, Ozempic for diabetes. Now, some scientists are developing modern botanical medicines by employing scientific disciplines and processes to exploit natural substances and take advantage of their multidimensional chemistries. So far, only a few have been approved by the Food and Drug Administration. Example, Mytesi for diarrhea. Some researchers are on the path to convert kratom into modern botanical medicines. They aim to identify the active ingredients in the fresh kratom leaf, understand how they interact with the human body and brain, grow plants with the optimal chemical profile, and produce products that are stable, safe, reliable, and effective. McCurdy and a sprawling research group at the University of Florida, financed in part by a large grant from the National Institute on Drug Abuse, are taking a multidisciplinary look at kratom. They're studying everything from botany to veterinary science.
I think it's absolutely critical and foundational to our research to have our own trees to be able to get that farm to pharmacy approach. When we import a powder or import a product, we oftentimes, especially with kratom, have no idea where it was produced, how it was produced, how the handling occurred after its harvest. By having these trees here, it allows us to understand everything about these trees, how they're responding to their environment. And moving forward, it gives opportunities to my colleagues to have a known product to then move forward into either animal or human trials. So we largely started from scratch with how do these plants respond to varying levels of light, fertility, water, and how does that translate into the growth of the plant, but also just as importantly, the production of these secondary compounds or alkaloids that people are seeking out for medical benefit.
After we harvest the leaf, we would
dry the leaf and ground it into powder. So normally we collect the leaf from the tree directly and then put it onto the trays, move it into the dehydrator, and then wait for until it's completely dry. After the leaves are completely dried, we take it out, ground it into powder, put it in a sample vial, and then save it for further extraction and analysis.
We do have an undergraduate researcher looking specifically at relationships between fungi and our kratom trees, mostly in the realm of germination of seed to increase the germination success.
The positive effect would be that these fungi are actually living inside the roots of these plants, and they are able to uptake either carbon from the soil, or they're able to uptake different minerals, macronutrients and micronutrients. So they kind of provide a whole range of effects for their plant hosts. We like to think of them as the plant immune system, similar to how we have bacteria inside of us. They're doing similar effects.
Our most significant findings probably have to circle and focus around the diversity that we see within these trees. From tree to tree, we can have drastically different alkaloids, even when they're being produced in a similar controlled environment. I think we're at the tip of the iceberg of trying to understand the diversity that is actually truly there in nature and to draw from that.
Another lesson the horticulture group has learned is that it's difficult to grow kratom trees in the United States. They don't like freezing temperatures, and some trees grown here don't produce much mitragynine. Meanwhile, on the Gainesville campus of the University of Florida, botanists and biochemists are studying how kratom trees produce the active ingredients in their leaves.
What I'm excited about is to find out how each of these unique alkaloid is being made in the plant. We should be able to manipulate the plant, for example, to have a mitragynous speciosa. You tell me what kind of composition you want. For example, you want high mitragynine, high speciogynin. We should be able to manipulate the plant in such a way that we could make the optimal composition that probably the pharmacy group may need to study further.
So this is where we do our chemical reactions or extractions and start to process the leaf material and pull those chemicals out of the leaf. And then once we concentrate that and get rid of the organic solvents, we'll subject that to some medium pressure chromatography where we can start to isolate these. And then you can actually see the products that come out of that separation are separated into tubes, and then we can check each and every one of these tubes to see exactly what chemicals are in those tubes.
This is the purified form of mitragynine. It started from the crude kratom alkaloid, kratom powder, and we did a solid state column chromatography to get this mitragynine as a pure product.
I do pharmacokinetics. You want to know how is it getting absorbed, metabolized, or excreted. That's my job to know. So this is a UPLC MSMS system. This is liquid chromatography, mass spectroscopy, where we put our samples. And then these compounds reaches into this mass spec. This mass spec ionizes those compounds and then breaks in their daughter ions. And based on compounds' molecular weight and very selective daughter ion, we quantify those. So this is a QT of mass spec, which has pretty good mass accuracy. So this instrument is used to identify unknowns. It could be metabolites, like if I took kratom material for any alkaloid, right? Now my liver or my intestinal enzymes will metabolize it, break into the different parts. What are those parts? It is also important if activity is coming from that compound or coming from those metabolites.
My job is to understand the pharmacology, how it's working at the various receptors in the brain, and then demonstrate what that does behaviorally on a broader level, evaluating things like, is it addictive? Will it cause respiratory depression? Can it prevent those factors from traditional opioids? Can it prevent withdrawal?
So far, all of the pharmacological testing there has been done on animals, not humans. Some of the most interesting work is being done in the Department of Veterinary Science, where they are testing the effectiveness of kratom in treating arthritis pain.
all of the dogs in our study are enrolled because they have a naturally occurring arthritis as their condition. And osteoarthritis is a condition that affects both dogs and people. And so dogs serve as a perfect model for evaluating kratom's efficacy for the treatment of chronic pain.
So our primary intervention or outcome measure in this study was looking at gait analysis. So the amount of force placed on a pressure mat and seeing if that improves from baseline with the intervention, the kratom supplement, as opposed to the placebo.
Good girl. Yeah, that's a good girl. That's a good girl.
Although we are starting with evaluating chronic pain, I think we also want to look at acute pain or surgical pain. And so understanding how kratom may play a role in these different types of painful conditions will also give us the information that we need for treatment of these types of conditions in people.
The next major challenge for scientists is getting ready for clinical trials in the United States. That work includes improving their understanding of how ingredients in kratom act on the brain, running more tests on animals to demonstrate safety and effectiveness, and securing consistent supplies of key ingredients to be tested on humans. Large pharmaceutical companies have shown little interest in kratom. Observers say that's because botanical medicines are difficult and expensive to develop, and because firms can't patent organic chemicals. Yet some smaller biotech firms are developing mitragynine-based medicines. One of them, Cures Incorporated, is developing a drug for pain. Cures scientists removed a hydrogen molecule from mitragynine and replaced it with deuterium, which they claim makes the therapy more stable and safer for humans. They ran a clinical trial in New Zealand that showed positive results for safety.
If approved, you'll have an FDA-driven, very rigorous process to develop a drug, and therefore you have a better handle on supply chain. You know, for instance, you may want to go to a vape shop or pick up some kratom someplace, and you don't know where it came from. You don't know how it was made, how long it sat in transit from Malaysia to some terminal somewhere on a port here in the U.S. So there's better, tighter regulations and control around the supply chain and provenance of the product.
The National Institute on Drug Abuse is researching kratom with the goal of developing candidates for treating substance use disorder.
And so we're interested in isolating compounds from kratom which may have value for the treatment of substance use disorders, particularly opioid use disorders, where we've been working since 2019 to generate and formulate and check the stability and go through all the FDA requirements to generate a mitragynine product that we will be able to make available for clinical studies. I would say that we will be able to enter clinical testing of this within a year to 18 months.
Clinical trials on humans can show if a proposed medicine is safe and effective. There are 4 key elements in the design of a clinical trial. They are placebo-controlled. One group of participants gets the target therapy. The other gets a placebo, which typically has no therapeutic value. They are randomized. Participants are assigned randomly to a subgroup, which determines whether they get the therapy or a placebo. This technique reduces potential selection biases. They are double-blind. Neither the participant nor the researcher knows if they're getting the target treatment or the placebo. They are double-dummy. Both groups receive substances or interventions that look and in some cases taste the same. If you read a scholarly article about a medical experiment involving kratom and it doesn't list all these attributes, be skeptical of the results. In the run-up to clinical trials, there's a lot to be done and learned. One area of particular interest for researchers is 7-hydroxymitragynine, 7-OH for short. It's not present in freshly picked kratom leaves. Rather, it's produced as leaf material dries and also in the digestive systems of test animals. 7-OH interacts strongly with some of the opioid receptors in the brain, and it may provide much of Kratom's pain-killing punch.
7-hydroxymitragynine is many times more potent. It's hypothesized to be many times more potent and dangerous than mitragynine itself.
Researchers in Malaysia believe it may also be responsible for some of the adverse reactions that Americans have reported.
Based on our study, which we recently conducted on the freshly collected kratom leaf, 7-hydroxymitragynine is an oxidative compound, oxidative chemicals produced from mitragynine. And this leads to the effects of exposure of mitragynine in kratom leaf during shipping. Longer shipping periods might convert the mitragynine inside the leaf into 7-hydroxymitragynine. We could hypothesize that the toxic effect that been reported on kratom, it might due to the presence of 7-hydroxymitragynine.
We are hypothesizing that at least some of these resulting products are highly toxic.
In early 2024, scientists and kratom sellers gathered for an International Kratom Science Symposium at the Orlando campus of the University of Florida.
So the main thing we're trying to accomplish by bringing people from all over the world researching kratom together is to bring this community together to share all of our research with each other in a non-competitive way, where we can all learn and benefit from each other to expand really the knowledge across the globe on this plant.
More than 20 scientists made presentations and discussed some of their latest findings.
Those partial agonists that are inside kratom, those alkaloids, are also really key towards treating, we think, opioid withdrawal, because we've already demonstrated through our recent findings that those partial agonists don't produce the same magnitude of physical dependence that the full agonists do, and they don't produce the same addictive effects that some of the full agonists can do. But at the same time, they allow us to hopefully wean off the opioids safely. And we've just demonstrated that in a recent study we presented here.
In my latest research, one of the things I found that's extremely interesting is that kratom use disorder or substance use disorder based on kratom is looking a lot more like physical dependence. So that's tolerance and withdrawal symptoms, but not addiction. So to date, people are not going out and robbing banks to go get kratom and use it.
We had done probably the largest study of its kind to really understand some of the pharmacology of mitragynine, which is the main alkaloid in kratom. From a safety standpoint, I mean, the compound appeared to be pretty safe. I mean, overall, I mean, even at high doses, you may see some changes that were probably not significant, certainly weren't significant enough to stop the study over in terms of some of the liver enzymes. There were really nothing at all in the way of cardiovascular effects that we could say.
Our recent surveys have shown that there is a particular correlation between kratom use and several psychological disorders like attention deficit and hyperactivity disorder, post-traumatic stress disorders, depression and anxiety. We noticed that those who met inclusion criteria of one of these psychiatric conditions actually tended to do quite well with moderate doses of kratom use.
Now, in the past, we get to see people who are dependent on heroin. Kratom was very commonly used among people who were dependent on heroin. Now, in the last couple of years, we get to see through my field studies, through my research, we get to see more and more people who are dependent on methamphetamine alone, as well as methamphetamine and heroin, using kratom to self-treat their methamphetamine addiction.
Chad Reisig, a supervisory pharmacologist at the FDA, presented preliminary results of a pilot safety study that raised no red flags concerning short-term effects of kratom on humans. Going forward, scientists see three possible pathways for kratom-based products: as regulated health supplements, as botanical drugs, and as conventional pharmaceuticals. Any FDA approvals for medicines are likely to be years off, though. In the meantime, scientists caution individuals using kratom-based products to be careful out there.
When somebody wants to take kratom, before they start taking kratom, I would advise them to start with just a whole leaf or crushed leaf powder and start with a very low dose to make sure that the kratom product that they want to consume is adequately labeled, meaning there is a dose recommendation on the label. It's clearly stated that it's not intended to treat, cure, prevent, or diagnose a condition. In addition, I would advise anybody who wants to take kratom to actually consult with their healthcare provider. Make sure that there are no drug interactions that put them at risk of potentially adverse effects that might harm them in the long run.
Somebody said you were too good for this earth, just as that car swept you away. For a short time, you wore your own crown of thorns. Well, I was the boy with a thorn in your side. God and Texas, what have you taken from us? My two ashes, angels rising from the dust.
All right.
Hi.
That was the documentary.
That was good.
It was really good.
Sorry, my son's right here. Hey, son. Oh, the girl said hey.
Hello.
He said hi.
Awesome.
He had to get my dog because she knows that my girls are about to give her a bath, so she came down here and was hiding.
Oh no, how funny. I don't know where Steve went. It shows that he's not connected in here, and I haven't gotten an email from him. So I just loved all the science in that.
Yeah. Yes.
It was so
it
cool.
was really a beautiful, like all the film. It was just beautifully shot. I don't know how to say that. I am no cinematographer, but it was really pretty.
Well, he's a seasoned documentary person,
Yeah.
He's done a lot of documentaries, so it shows.
Yeah, it
There he
definitely.
comes. There he is. Hey, Steve.
Yeah, I haven't used the platform before, so
Oh, no
it
worries.
was right in front of my face, but
No worries.
I figured out what to click.
People really enjoyed it.
Yes, it was. I was just saying, it was really, the whole thing was just filmed. It was a beautiful film. It was really nice. I liked it.
Thank you.
The comments were on fire.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's good to see people reacting like that.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've watched the film a lot of times, and I am proud of it. I think it has a lot of good content. It flows. It's touching in parts, in different ways. And
You definitely should be proud of it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I mean, it shows every side, like every angle that you can think of it. The science, it shows there was a lot of stuff that I had forgotten or may not have even known about the science of it, especially towards the end.
Yeah.
So, I mean, that was really good.
Yeah, science is, I write about science. I write about medical science especially, but I'd never tried to, it's hard to do in a film. We used a lot of, I wanted to be very precise. You saw that I used a lot of kind of text and a lot of words, but I really wanted to be precise about things and not to generalize. So.
Well, that's important though.
Yeah.
I mean, for just regular folks like us, you made it to where we understand it. You dumbed it down.
Yes. Yeah.
That wasn't my intention.
Well, you did it. You did it.
I wanted to make it understandable. That's for sure. I mean, that's a journalist. That's what we try to do. Get everybody to get it and make the dotted lines between things and stuff like that.
So, I mean,
yeah.
You interviewed me.
I did.
So, I mean, I'm not hurt that you didn't put me in there. I was just wondering what happened.
Well, I was looking for advocates. You know, I talked to you and I talked to a bunch of advocates. And I chose to focus in. I mean, the two star advocates are Madalyn and Jen from Philadelphia.
Jennifer, yep.
And I chose them for various reasons. I mean, part of it was I can get to Philadelphia on the train. Yeah. I mean, really, I don't get on the plane if I can get on the train, just because it's because we don't have much money.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
So anyway, I'm sorry if it hurt your feelings.
No. You did not hurt my feelings. But
it's not about you. There's nothing negative about you.
It was just something that I was curious about, like since I first watched the
Yeah,
documentary.
sure.
But
yeah.
I remember you at the reception that we were at.
In DC.
You were so tall.
Really?
I stick out, don't I?
He is so tall. So I don't know.
You keep telling me about all these tall people that we hear. I'm like, I'll have to see for myself.
Madalyn and Steve, they're like big ass oak trees. No, I'll say kratom trees.
There you go.
But yeah, do you remember how? I mean, you were excited to be there.
Yeah.
Oh, well, I was filmmakers. You work hard, and then you get lucky.
Yeah.
And the fact that event was held in DC, and then the fact that science conference was held in Florida.
Yes.
Those were things I couldn't have predicted, but they were absolutely essential they help tell the story. There's a place, there are people, they're doing things, and they make it easier to tell the story when you have
that one that happened in Florida was like invite only. So it wasn't, regular Joe Schmoes like us
just
was able to go.
scientists.
Yeah.
Scientists and me. I had to ask for permission, and I wasn't sure that they would let me in.
Yeah.
Because they said they had a no journalist policy.
They did? Oh.
Yeah.
Wow.
And I said, well, you're going to review. Everyone who's in it is going to review it. So it's not like you're going to be misrepresented.
Oh.
And they thought about that and they said yes.
And I really appreciate that, Steve. I mean, I've been featured in a variety of things with my decades in digital marketing, and it is so rare to ever get to see something, whether it's film, an article, a podcast, rare that somebody shares it with you before it goes out.
That's my policy as a freelancer, because when I work for organizations, I follow their policy. And most journalist organizations have a policy of you can only show someone their quotes just to make sure that they're being quoted properly, but you don't show them even the context around it, much less the whole article. But I found that if you want to be accurate, and our goal is to be accurate, that I think that those policies are just misguided. Now, part of it is if you show it to a lot of journalism is about politics and stuff like that, either running for office or, about government doing its job or not doing its job. And I think some of the feeling there is that if you show it to somebody, they may just say, oh, you can't use me. And somebody, you basically you're going on permission. And if somebody says, oh, this isn't going my way, I won't be in it. And I've actually had that problem with some people. There were some people, when I did the thing about police, there were some anti-police people. And they either wanted it to participate in a propaganda piece or not at all. And then, of course, they could say, oh, this is no fair because it doesn't represent our point of view.
Mm-hmm.
So that became a little ticklish. And ultimately, a guy demanded to be taken out. The film was already out in the world, and he demanded to be taken out. And I said, sorry, too late.
Cat's out of the bag.
Yeah. But these are delicate matters. You want to have the trust of people. And I mean, when you show everybody the film, it means it has to be fair.
Yeah, and what you did is what we see as advocates. You know, like I explained to somebody today in a Facebook comment who asked me if I had a medical degree. And I'm like, you know what? No, I don't. But I've been advocating for over 5 years. So if you want to get technical, then yeah, I'm working on my PhD in kratomology. You know, because that's all we do is research. And what you did is what us advocates see is you put parts of each in the film.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And, you know, in the process, I did consume some kratom.
Oh, did you? What do you think?
Well, I had kratom tea from I'm forgetting the name of it.
Top Tree.
And I had gone down to visit them in West Virginia. And they gave me some there. And then I bought some from them. And I find it to be a very effective mind sharpener.
Mm-hmm.
Like coffee, but I would say you could get even sharper without the negative effects, without jitters of coffee. So I did that, and I also drank some fresh kratom in Thailand.
That's cool.
Wow.
That's cool.
But in general, I'm not. You know, it's not something that I feel a need for, so I don't consume it.
Yeah.
I don't consume it, but I don't have anything against it. You know.
Yeah.
So.
You know,
And I got a. You might have seen there were a couple spots in there. I got a big bag of fresh ground kratom in Thailand, which I smuggled into the United States. By the way, it was like I would say it was like 3 or 4 ounces. That's quite a bit of kratom, or maybe it was more than that. And I put it in a nice pile. I made sure that it kind of looked cool. Shot pictures of it. And that was kind of fun because it looks very, I don't know, it's kind of bewitching. You know?
Yeah. That's so cool.
I like that. And I thought you two who have the Halloween decorations would like that reference.
That was good. I thought it was just a very fair look on all sides of kratom. That's my dog.
I hear Lucy.
Oh yeah, howling.
She's like, you better come on.
She's been doing it the whole time. Like I had to keep going out
you
there and
heard
giving her
it.
toys.
I see.
Yeah, y'all didn't hear it, but the whole time watching the film, she wouldn't stop. So I had to go give her toys and
My
stuff.
cat watched, I swear I've never seen anything for like 20 minutes. I'm over here like taking pictures of this cat because he's there watching the documentary.
Oh my gosh, how
what
cute.
in the world? So I mean, it had to be good if a cat's sitting here watching it.
It is the season for spooky season.
That's
There's
high
so
praise.
much Halloween in it.
What's your cat's name? I'm gonna
Kitty
make
Kruger.
a reference. Kitty what?
Kruger.
Kitty Kruger.
Kruger.
Like Freddy Krueger.
Yeah, like Freddy Krueger.
Watch the film.
Yeah, Twinkle
I'm gonna
says.
put that on my Facebook.
I've never seen anything like. I even texted a picture to my son.
Send me a picture.
Yeah.
Are you ready for my phone number?
Oh, I don't know.
Are you going to give it live right now?
I'm saying.
Yeah.
You don't care?
Oh no.
You might
I
get
don't
some
care.
crazed.
I don't assume privacy about anything.
Okay.
And it's not something somebody's going to come and get me for.
No, but we got some unhinged people,
All right.
man. I'm telling you.
You ready, Jen?
Yes.
914-843-9475.
Okay, gotcha.
And I'm going to say, Kitty Kruger watched the film for 20 minutes.
I love it.
Oh,
Dude, she walks her cat. That cat walks on a leash.
Oh my God, that is a trained cat.
yeah.
No,
She likes to go outside,
you-
but I don't want her to get hurt. You know.
See, years ago, we put our cat on a leash with a, all strapped in and stuff. The cat took one step and lay down.
Yeah.
Like
my cat does not like it.
Just like no comprende.
It's like the cat's like, I'm not in control anymore.
No. Just
screw you guys.
It went on strike.
Yeah.
Oh, that's funny.
Right.
I loved all the University of Florida lab stuff you showed in the film.
Yes.
That was fascinating.
It was really cool seeing that part of it, and having them explain what they do.
Yeah.
It was really cool.
I really wanted people to appreciate science.
Oh,
So I
science
would
is
go-
sexy.
So I'd go in and say, well, what's the process? Step by step. And that's how we went through it. And those machines, I'm forgetting the name of the professor, he's an Indian American. They have these machines that can basically identify chemicals. And some of them, you actually have to, they have like a guide. Oh, these chemicals have these markers and blah, 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 blah. Then the other machine was the one that could identify chemicals that they didn't know yet. I don't know if you picked that up. The unknowns, knowns, or I forget, the unknowns, you call them. Now that is one hell of a machine.
So that must be the machine that Dr. McCurdy is talking about on the recent congressional briefing that they had, where there's unidentified unknowns in these new synthesized 7-OH tablets. They can't even identify what else is in it.
Wow.
Yeah.
It's scary.
That's scary. That's very scary.
Yeah. Well, as a cancer patient right now, I had lung cancer. I didn't smoke. There's no cause of my lung cancer that can be identified. But somewhere along the line in my long life, I was exposed to something that did it. It's a mystery.
My dad passed from that, but he was a heavy smoker for many years. But
Well, I smoked for about 5 years, but I quit 50 years ago. So they consider me a non-smoker.
Yeah.
But anyway, it just was a wake-up call to me. I've always been aware, or in recent years, aware of the potential negatives of exposures. Like I grew up out in the country, but then I've lived in cities most of my life. And in cities, we're exposed, if we're in old buildings, to all sorts of strange
yeah.
bugs and stuff.
Asbestos. Yeah.
Yeah. And then, of course, we have highways going by us, and we're breathing the waste from combustion.
Yes. Well, just in the city air in general has so
smog
much.
and all that.
Yeah. So these are things that, and of course, I go down to Yale New Haven Hospital, which is one of the biggest cancer hospitals in the world. And I just see all these people like me, and I say, holy moly. I mean, this is like, it's a contagion.
Yeah.
And it's something, now part of it's genetics, you have a proclivity for something. But a lot of it's just our environment and what we consume, either intentionally or accidentally.
Yeah.
And one thing I've really become aware of in the past couple of years is alcohol. They used to say, a glass of red wine a day is great for you, blah, blah, blah. The studies in the last couple of years say absolutely not.
I've read them. Yeah.
They say best 0 drinks a day, 1 maybe, but the effect of alcohol on your liver is very well known, and it's not good.
But see, this is where we come into that whole thing of nobody talks about prohibition, alcohol. Nobody's talking about banning alcohol.
Well, they tried it once, but it didn't work. So I don't think
Yeah,
anybody's going to try that again.
Yeah, they created a mafia out of that, you know.
Yeah.
But
And that was really, and that one really came out of women.
oh yeah,
There was, even though women couldn't vote, there was a very strong. Well, actually, I guess they started to be able to vote in 1920. But actually, that probably was that. A lot of men just were drunks. They would spend the paycheck, and when the women got the ability to vote, that passed. But it just it was unworkable. Obviously, it was unenforceable, I guess you'd say.
if I remember correctly, it was a wife that went around smashing alcohol bottles in bars.
I can.
Was that Carrie Nation? I think there was somebody that might. Yeah, there was a movement like that. Yeah.
She was fed up.
Yeah, she was fed up. But you know, like I said, you know, there's known risks with alcohol, but nobody talks about banning alcohol. Yeah. But now, you know, these grieving moms, you know, they want Kratom banned because they say that their loved ones died from Kratom. But prohibition has never worked. We are in an illicit fentanyl crisis because the DEA prohibited the doctors prescribing opioids.
Yeah.
Safe supply. You know, prohibition is what the killer is.
Yeah. Well, part of the issue too is that you know, in terms of recovery from opioid addiction, the most popular approaches, which is abstinence, doesn't work.
Right.
Doesn't work. The things that work are methadone and buprenorphine, but they can be abused also.
Yep.
And you know, they're powerful partial agonists, I guess you'd say.
Suboxone is partial agonist. Methadone is full.
But I say, you know, I'm for freedom of choice. You know, whatever works for someone, let it be. You know, I don't agree with the whole banning.
I don't agree with the prohibition. I don't
Yeah.
Just
how about education?
Right.
Awareness.
And then
Misty. Look.
You sound like my dad just now.
Hey, Misty, for me. Hold up your hand. Whoa!
Are they beautiful? Yeah.
Now, those are different colors, but do you also have like little
spiders and stuff?
Signs? Oh, look at that!
Look at that!
Halloween. Look at that.
Those are incredible.
They are.
I was thinking today about the WNBA players. Some of them play with nails.
Really?
Oh, wow.
Wow.
I don't know if they're quite that long, but
probably not.
You know, they do that.
That'd be interesting to watch.
Anyway, your fingers look fantastic.
Thank you.
And that backdrop. You and Jennifer, very cool backdrops.
I like how we're vibing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I want to tell you guys, they had the Northern Lights all through England today, this evening. Brilliant as could be. People
I saw them back in July, I think, here in Memphis. They were beautiful.
Yeah, I think it's gone down pretty far. I think down even into the south. But up here, the sky looks like it's on fire.
That's amazing. I've seen some pictures on Twitter this week, and it's unbelievable.
I just couldn't believe that I've always wanted to see the Northern Lights, and my son was like, you know, it's supposed to come. And I'm like, when we saw it in my own backyard, I was like, this is my bucket list. I don't even have to go anywhere.
Yeah, that's been on my bucket list a long time.
Yeah.
Oh, that's so cool. I know one time they said it came down to Texas, but you know, I'm so far down South Texas. So
yeah.
Never have seen it live, but yeah, I have a friend in Canada and he was posting amazing pictures this week on Twitter and it was wild.
X,
I know. I still want to say Twitter. I can't help it.
Yeah.
Old habits die hard.
So, you know, last couple of months I've been occupied with other stuff. Is there anything new on the Kratom front or Kratom front?
Besides the 708 stuff.
Yeah.
That's really, there's a lot of concern about that, right?
Yes.
Lots.
Yeah.
We don't advocate for it. You know,
Yeah.
there's no science to back up what these people are claiming it does.
Yeah.
So, no, I
Plus, it's synthesized. I mean, that's red flags.
Oh, it's
Red
not
flag.
even derived from the plant.
No, it's extracted from the extract and then amplified.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
But they're trying to, under the guise of it being a kratom alkaloid, that's how
Yeah,
they're
they're
trying to
calling
sell
it
it.
kratom, and it's not kratom.
No.
It's crazy.
Yeah.
Hey, so do you guys have any advice for me? You know, we want to get this. I can make films, but I am no expert at getting them seen. You know, on
I was thinking while I was watching this, okay,
If
I
that's-
can upload on my TikTok. I can upload up to an hour long. So
Oh,
I would
you
have,
got that? You got the new feature with an hour?
yeah. So
Okay.
I could
Nice.
screen record it, and it's like an hour and a half long, right?
hour and 20 minutes.
Yeah. So I could do a
81
part
minutes.
1 and part 2. So
Yeah.
I was thinking I could just screen record it, you know, and do the first hour, and then screen record the other minutes, and do part 1, part 2. But I can't link it to your YouTube. You
Yeah, I
know,
got
there's
you.
no way to do that.
Yeah, I gotcha. We really want to push it back there so
Yeah.
we can boost interactions and links and shares and stuff like that. But anything you feel like doing that would be you think you'd enjoy and it's good for you, do it. We don't restrain yourself. You know, just experiment. You know. So
Misty's over there thinking.
I know,
She's
she
a
is.
genius when it
yeah,
comes.
when the fingers move, she's thinking.
I am.
That's funny.
I mean, I could still screen record it in its entirety and upload it to my YouTube, and then have your link in the description and or comment section.
But they're still going to watch it on yours.
Yeah,
Right.
The whole goal is to get them over.
Yeah.
So probably just more of a teaser. You know, what we could try doing is maybe we can make some little teaser videos with us.
You know, we do
sometime.
have a trailer. I'll
Okay.
send you guys the trailer.
Yeah,
I'll
send us
send
a trailer.
Do
Madeline,
that.
I'll send it to you and you can distribute it.
Okay.
That's a great idea. I didn't know you had one for this.
I had forgotten actually.
Okay.
You know, it's so funny. I do so many things. I'm always finishing one video, starting on another one. I'm actually writing a novel right now. I'm going to school.
Wow.
So I sometimes kind of like I do a lot of stuff, and sometimes I kind of forget what I did.
Well, you've got
Join the club.
though.
Yeah.
Oh,
Join the club.
I already did that. Oh, okay.
Yeah, send us the you should put the trailer on your YouTube.
Yeah, I will add it. You know, because we weren't using YouTube before.
Okay,
And
gotcha.
it's only for this, but now I'll add the trailer.
Well, you're almost at 4,000 views on here.
Is that right?
Yeah, for the
That's nice.
film, 3,971.
But
That's
I want
great.
5 million views.
Yeah.
Yes.
Well, Misty's great with TikTok. She's done really good, like with Jordan's trailer for the documentary.
Yeah.
That really blew up
Yeah. It got
in TikTok. And that's just
big.
a trailer.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, don't think you're too old for TikTok. You make it how you want to make it.
I may have to try that. I'll get my son. My son's 36, so he's not a kid.
Yeah.
But he's in a different generation, and he, started using TikTok when it first started, and he has a lot of fun with it. And he actually does some.
You can find your people on TikTok.
Yes.
You
Yeah.
really
You can. Yeah.
Yeah, my son's he's a freelance photographer and videographer, and he has a friend who's a Nashville country singer,
Oh, okay.
and he's been doing some social media for her, all the platforms, and it's mostly reels and Instagram photographs and stuff like that. But he's learning all about it, so I'm having a meeting with him tomorrow night with Scott, my co-creator, and we're gonna launch we haven't launched our social media campaign yet, so hopefully we'll drive some more.
Yeah, I would definitely look into TikTok though.
Yep.
Because it's
Yeah. And YouTube Shorts, like Shani says, that's a great idea. Misty, you're good at that also.
Don't forget to hashtag it shorts.
Shorts.
Yeah, YouTube Shorts.
Shorts.
Anything under a
And,
minute and under.
Hold on.
Yeah.
Breaking news. Starting on October 15th, which is next week, YouTube Shorts will be up to 3 minutes.
Wow, nice. Did not know
That's
that.
my son's birthday. He's gonna be 20.
Oh, cool.
What day is
So
it?
where do you post that? Just on your YouTube channel? And just
Just
hashtag it?
upload it. Yeah, you upload it, and sometimes it'll put it on. I think it automatically.
It automatically does it if it's less than a minute.
If it's a vertical video in less than a minute, it'll do it automatically.
Okay.
And with the news that just came out, they're saying if it's vertical or square and it's 3 minutes or less, it's going to automatically be a short.
Yeah, but
And it's going to start on the 15th.
Our film is all horizontal, though.
I'm not sure with horizontal under a minute, because whenever I played around with it, I've always done vertical on my phone. And every time it's less than a minute, it puts it as a short. And I'm like, no, I don't want it as a short.
See if I can.
And
I
it's
can't
just
recall
hashtag
either.
shorts.
Yes.
That's it. Okay. Well, we'll explore that too. I'll ask my son to help me out.
There's so many options. Like, are you on Instagram too?
Yeah, we have an Instagram. All we have is Instagram and Facebook. We don't use X because we think Elon Musk is a fascist.
Oh, Madalyn! Everything's Elon's fault.
I always blame Elon. Whenever X up, I always say it's Elon's fault.
Yeah.
But the thing that I love about X is there is absolutely no censorship.
Yeah, we don't get in trouble
at
for
all.
talking about it. On TikTok. We get in trouble.
Yeah.
YouTube, you
for
can
talking about Kratom? Really?
Yes.
Oh.
Well, some people
Yeah.
will report it as unregulated drugs.
Oh, I see.
And I just had a video taken down. A video of mine that was pinned from July. They took it down. They considered it drug talk, and I appealed it, and they denied the appeal.
They play it safe.
And they said I have like multiple strikes on my account. I probably am on my last leg with that account. That's what I think it is. But it's a video I did months ago. I don't remember which. I don't. It was one of the pinned ones, because all of a sudden one of my pinned ones was gone. I'm like, which one was that?
The problem we face with YouTube is having to do with music.
Yeah.
On YouTube, if
Oh,
you put
yeah.
something up, even though you've been fastidious in owning the rights, anybody in the world can claim that they own it without proof, and you're down.
Really?
They make that claim, and it's gone.
I wonder after we're done with this if our YouTubes are going to say copyright claim.
Yeah, because whenever there's music, it's happened a few times with us.
That's just.
Yeah, I go to a lot of effort to get the rights and get contracts and permissions and all that kind of stuff, and then
Okay.
YouTube can still do this. They haven't taken this film down. I submitted to BMI a list, and it's possible that because I submitted the list to BMI that I'm whitelisted.
Right. Very possible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So.
I think you should upload.
Yeah.
Like you just have the one upload right now. I think you should do it 3 more times. Upload.
On different URLs.
Days. On your YouTube,
Yeah.
just keep continuously uploading it.
I don't know what you mean.
What do you mean, Misty?
Well, because he uploaded it once on YouTube.
Yes.
So go do it again.
I've
but then
seen
it start-
people do that, though.
It starts at 0 for that second one. When you
Yeah.
want to just get all the eggs in one basket and just keep building up, it's already almost at 4,000.
Oh,
views.
it's not saved. Oh, because see, I only use my phone. So whenever like I screen record something or something like that, I can go and upload one day, go the next day, upload. Like it'll just be multiple uploads.
Of the
I
same
didn't know.
video?
No, the strategy here is you want everything coming in the same spot.
Yeah, you want the one.
Okay, I
the
got
one
you.
That's
video.
where that's where the algorithm starts to act and more
Yeah.
shares and all that kind of stuff.
I was just trying to think of raising awareness to it, and
That would be the short, and then like maybe before we record one of our Kratom Gals, we can just say something about it, play a little clip, and then we can each upload that to our YouTube and TikToks and thing. But the whole point is to direct everybody to the one YouTube URL.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. So we're hopeful. We don't have a big budget for boosting, but we're gonna try some of that. Because I have, our Elm City Films accounts we just started them relatively recently. They don't have too many followers. I have about 3,000 followers myself, which is pretty good. So I really use that to try to reach out. And, I get pretty good. Yeah, but I don't get thousands of likes. I get a big day is hundreds,
Yeah. Well, that's a good day though.
Yeah.
I feel like it just, a lot of people that get all the millions and stuff of views. It's like just that one lucky day that somebody just,
Somebody told one of my woman I met in my class said her nephew put like a 20-minute film up on YouTube, and he's had 15 million views.
Wow.
And it was a very personal kind of story about addiction. And whatever it hit the buttons, and
right?
He's had 15 million views, and it got him the interest in people backing him to make more films. So good for him.
Yeah.
Well, hopefully everybody here will subscribe to your YouTube, like this video we watch. We'll keep talking it up.
I'll put the link to in the
comment section.
There you go. Thank you.
Yes, thank you so much. I really appreciate your support and interest. And it's nice to meet you guys. I don't know. Do you have any more questions or?
I don't think
Pretty
so.
much.
I would love to see this on PBS. When you were talking about that at the
That'd be cool.
beginning, yeah, that would be amazing to see happen.
Yeah.
This would really educate.
I think that's a
people.
possibility. That kind of thing. So the next film is about the singer-songwriter that my son is making. So we went to Nashville, we went to LA, we went to Muscle Shoals, we've been to New York. We've done a lot of interesting shooting for that. And I've always liked country music, but we're learning so much about just the craft of, they're poets, they're musicians, they're singers. So many skills go into a singer-songwriter. So every film that we make, we learn so much, and we meet interesting people. It's a great gig, and I do it just on the side. It's not. I do make some money making short videos for nonprofits, but all of these films we don't make any money from them. But we get paid back in satisfaction and feeling like we're having an impact. So.
Well, and you learn.
That's awesome.
You're learning too.
That's right.
That's a big deal.
Yeah, and educating others.
Yep.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's great. Well, we're here to support you, Steve, and appreciate you coming on and doing the watch party with us. It's been so much fun.
It's great to meet the gals.
When you said my name like that, you seriously sound like my dad, and my dad's name was Steve.
Uh-oh.
Are you kidding?
My gosh.
I'm channeling him.
Yes.
Wow.
Scary.
Wow.
Spooky season's here.
Well, I hope to see you guys around.
Yeah, we'll all be in touch for sure. And this was so much fun. What a great movie night we've had.
Yeah. Thank you so much.
Thanks everybody for coming.
Thank you. Yeah. Thanks everybody for watching. Steve, thank you for your hard work on this.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right. Kratom Gals out.
Kratom Gals out.
Bye.